Tonight, hey girl, hey, top of the day, everybody. Y'all, today is an exciting reading today. Hold on. Enoch. Oh, sorry. The wrong one's up here. That's Wabble. Auntie, you know what? I forgot to tell you happy birthday the other day. Happy belated birthday, Auntie. I saw it. I was like, oh, let me call Aunt Anita. I'm sorry. I forgot. I got sidetracked with all the kids running through the house and stuff, and I forgot to call you. Happy belated birthday. I just remember as soon as I saw your name pop in. Welcome, YouTube. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Y'all, today it is Saturday. Happy Saturday, everybody. It is December the 12th, 2020, day 22 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. Of the 3-year consecutive day count, we are on day 691. Yes, 691, y'all. Today we are reading Enoch 22, 23, and 24. I don't even remember the length, so I just defaulted to 3 chapters today. Let me double check it. If they're really short, we'll read a little bit more than that. It is 22, 23, and 24. Yep. You know what? Yeah, we're going to stick with the 3 today. Okay. Because they're averaging about 11. 15, 5, and 11. I could read 25. It's only... Okay, we'll go to 25 since 23 is like 5 verses. 25. Okay, so we're going to read Enoch 22, 23, 24, and 25, and then we're going to hop right over. We're going to learn about some deeper detail about Leviathan. Okay. All right, y'all. Okay. Enoch 22. Remember, Enoch is in the presence of the watchers, and Yahuwah has commanded the angels to show him all that's going on. And I believe it was yesterday, we started seeing portions of hell, right? Okay. From there, I proceeded to another spot where I saw on the west a great and lofty mountain, a strong rock, and 4 delightful places. Internally, it was deep, capacious, and very smooth as if it had been rolled over. It was both deep and dark to behold. Then Raphael, one of the holy angels who were with me, answered and said, "These are the delightful places where the spirits of the souls of the dead will be collected. For them they were formed, and here will be collected all the souls of the sons of men. These places in which they dwell shall they occupy until the day of judgment, until their appointed period. Their appointed period will be long, even until the great judgment. And I saw the spirit of the sons of men who were dead, and their voices reached to heaven while they were accusing. Then I inquired of Raphael, an angel who was with me, and said, Whose spirit is that, the voice which reaches to heaven and accuses? He answered, saying, This is the spirit of Havael, who was slain by Cain, Abel. And here it has Havael. Okay. This is the spirit of Abel, who was slain by Cain, his brother, and who will accuse that brother until his seed be destroyed from the face of the earth, until his seed perish from the seed of mankind. At that time, before I inquired respecting him and respecting the general judgment, saying, Why is one separated from another? He answered, 3 separations have been made between the spirits of the dead, and thus have the spirits of the righteous been separated, namely by a chasm, by water, and by light above. And in the same way, likewise are sinners separated when they die. They are buried in the earth, judgment not overtaking them in their lifetime. Here their souls are separated. Moreover, abundant is their suffering until the time of the great judgment, and the castigation and the torment of those who externally execrate, whose souls are punished and bound there forever. And thus it had been from the beginning of the world. Thus has there existed a separation between the souls of those who utter complaints and of those who watch for their destruction, to slaughter them in the day of sinners. A receptacle of this sort has been formed for the souls of the unrighteous men and of sinners, of those who have completed crime and associated with the impious, whom they resemble. Their souls shall not be annihilated in the day of judgment, neither shall they rise from this place. Then I blessed Yahuwah and said, Blessed be my Adonai, Yahuwah of glory and of righteousness, who reigns over all and forever and ever. Enoch chapter 23. From there I went to another place towards the west, unto the extremities of the earth, where I beheld a fire blazing and running along without cessation, which intermitted its course neither by day or by night, but continue always the same. I inquired, saying, What is this which never ceases? Then Raguel, the one of the holy angels who were with me, answered and said, This blazing fire, which you behold running towards the west, is all the luminaries of heaven. Enoch chapter 24. I went from there to another place and saw a mountain of fire flashing both by day and night. I proceeded towards it and perceived 7 splendid mountains, which were all different from each other. Their stones were brilliant and beautiful, all were brilliant and splendid to behold, and beautiful was their surface. 3 were towards the east, and strengthened by being placed one upon another, and 3 were towards the south, strengthened in a similar manner. There were likewise deep valleys which did not approach each other, and the 7th mountain, which was in the midst of them, in length, they all resembled the seat of a throne, and odoriferous trees. I know I screwed that word up. Odoriferous trees surrounded them. Among these, there was a tree of unceasing smell, nor of those which were in Eden was there like one of all the fragrant trees which smelt like this. Its leaf, its flower, and its bark never withered, and its fruit was beautiful. Its fruit resembled the cluster of the palm. I exclaimed, Behold, this tree is goodly in aspect, pleasing in its leaf, and the sight of its fruit is delightful to the eye. Then Michael, one of the holy and glorious angels who were with me and who presided over them, answered and said, Enoch, why do you inquire respecting the odor of this tree? Are you inquisitive to know it? The night Enoch replied to him and said, Concerning everything, I am desirous of instruction, but particularly concerning this tree. He answered me, saying, The mountain which you behold, the extent of whose head resembles the seat of Yahuwah, will be the seat on which shall sit the holy and great Yahuwah of glory, the everlasting King, when he shall come and descend to visit the earth with goodness. Let me read that again. He answered me, saying, That mountain which you behold, the extent of whose head resembles the seat of Yahuwah, will be the seat on which shall sit the holy and great Yahuwah of glory, the everlasting King, when he shall come and descend to visit the earth with goodness. And that tree of agreeable smell, not the one of carnal odor, there shall be no power to touch until the period of the great judgment, when all shall be punished and consumed forever. This shall be bestowed upon the righteous and humble. The fruit of the tree shall be given to the elect. For towards the north, life shall be planted in the holy place, towards the habitation of the everlasting King. Then shall they greatly rejoice and exult in the Holy One. The sweet odor shall enter into their bones, and they shall live a long life on earth, as your forefathers have lived. Neither in their days shall sorrow, distress, trouble, and punishment afflict them. And I bless Yahuwah of glory, the everlasting King, because he has prepared this tree for the Kodeshim, or for the saints, or the holy ones, formed it and declared that he would give it to them. This is the tree of life, the tree that gives us everlasting life. He said it is set aside until the day of judgment, where only the holy ones will partake of it. After the wicked are rooted out of the earth, Those who are left will be the holy and the blessed saints, those who kept to his laws, his statutes, and commands, and did what he required them to do to be left in the land and not rooted out. He said, this tree will be theirs. And it will, every part of that fruit is going to go into our body and into our bones, he said, and they will live a long life on the earth as their forefathers did. Right? Okay. Y'all, so that's the reading for today. Go back. That's pretty good. Go back and reread that. So that gives us details about everlasting life and the the tree of life. Shalom, shalom. Mother Natasha. Hey girls, hey. Okay, y'all. So today, okay, we are going. Where's my page? This also has a section in here about the Sabbath. Seeing that we go into the Sabbath, we are going into the Sabbath. I wanted to read that, but I also wanted to get through these other couple days that we didn't get through just yet. The 5th day and the 6th day, which is, we're just gonna wait, y'all. I ain't gonna do what I did yesterday. We're gonna do the 5th day and the 6th day, and then we're gonna end with all things praise Yahuwah. And then when we come back on Monday, we're gonna read about the Sabbath, right? And it's a small little blurb. But if you take all the portions about the Sabbath that we read in the Bible, in Jubilees and Jasher, and this right here, you get a very, very clear picture. A very, very clear picture. It's talking about the Sabbath in heaven right here. And it's not that long. We really should read it. We'll wait. Okay. All right, y'all. So we're going to the 5th day. All right. Let me take this. This book's so big, I have to use like an envelope to keep my place because I'd be skipping lines and going back up to the previous line. Okay. On the 5th day of creation, Yahuwah took fire and water, and out of these two, he made the fish of the sea. The animals in the water are much more numerous than those on land. For every species on land, excepting only the weasel, there is a corresponding species in the water. And besides, there are many found only in the water. Hey, guys, turn it down. The ruler over the sea animals is Leviathan. With all the other fish, he was made on the 5th day. Originally, he was created male and female like all the other animals. But when it appeared that a pair of these monsters might annihilate the whole earth with their united strength, Yahuwah killed the female. So enormous is Leviathan that to quench his thirst, he needs all the water that flows from the Jordan into the sea. His food consists of the fish which go between his jaws of their own accord. When he is hungry, a hot breath blows from his nostrils, and it makes the waters of the great sea seething hot. Formidable though Behemoth, the other monster is, he feels insecure until he is certain that Leviathan is satisfied in his thirst. The only thing that can keep him in check is the stickleback, a little fish which was created for the purpose and of which he stands in great awe. But Leviathan is more than merely large and strong. He is wonderfully made size. His fins radiate brilliant light. The very sun is obscured by it, and also his eyes shed such splendor that frequently the sea is illuminated suddenly by it. No wonder that this marvelous beast is the plaything of Yahuwah, in whom he takes his pastime. There is but one thing that makes Leviathan repulsive, his foul smell, which is so strong that if it penetrated thither, it would render paradise itself an impossible abode. The real purpose, listen to this, y'all. And I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, so we hear about Leviathan. I'm like, okay, so, all right. I can't say whether this is True or not, but we surely gonna find out in some days to come, right? Okay, listen. The real purpose of Leviathan is to be served up as a dainty to the pious in the world to come. The female was put into brine as soon as she was killed to be preserved against the time when her flesh will be needed. The male is destined to offer a delectable sight to all beholders before he is consumed. When his last hour arrives, Yahuwah will summon the angels to enter into combat with the monster. Listen, if y'all ever watch some of these sci-fi movies, as I was reading this, I'm like, clearly, they've gotten like Godzilla and some of the things from there I can clearly see in this, right? Okay. When his last hour arrives, Yahuwah will summon the angels to enter into combat with the monster. But no sooner will Leviathan cast his glance at them than they will flee in fear and dismay from the field of battle. They will return to charge with swords, but in vain, for his scales can turn back steel like straw. They will be equally unsuccessful when they attempt to kill him by throwing darts and slinging stones. Such missiles will rebound without leaving the least impression on his body. Disheartened, the angels will give up the combat, and Yahuwah will command Leviathan and Behemoth to enter into a duel with each other. The issue will be that both will drop dead. Behemoth slaughtered by a blow of Leviathan's fins, and Leviathan killed by a lash of Behemoth's tail. From the skin, listen to this, from the skin of Leviathan, Yahuwah will construct tents to shelter companies of the pious while they enjoy the dishes made of his flesh. The amount assigned to each of the pious will be in proportion to his deserts, and none will envy or begrudge the other his better share. What is left of Leviathan's skin will be stretched out over Jerusalem as a canopy, and the light streaming from it will illuminate the whole world. And what is left of his flesh after the pious have appeased their appetite will be distributed among the rest of men to carry on traffic therewith. On the same day with the fish, the birds were created. For these two kinds of animals are closely related to each other. Fish are fashioned out of water, and birds out of the marshy ground saturated with water. As Leviathan is the king of the fish, so the Ziz is appointed to rule over the birds. His name comes from a variety of tastes his flesh has. It tastes like this, Zeh, and it tastes like that, Zeh. The Ziz is as monstrous as size of Leviathan himself. His ankles rest on the earth, and his head reaches to the very sky. It once happened that travelers on a vessel noticed the bird. As he stood in the water, it merely covered his feet, and his head knocked against the sky. The onlookers thought the water could not have any depth at that point, and they prepared to take a bath there. A heavenly voice warned them, a light not there. Once a carpenter's axe slipped from his hand at this spot, and it took 7 years to touch the bottom. The bird the traveler saw was none other than the Ziz. His wings are so huge that unfurled they darken the sky. They protect the earth against the storms of the south. Without their aid, the earth would not be able to resist the winds blowing thence. Once an egg of a Ziz fell to the ground and broke. The fluid from it flooded 60 cities, and the shock crushed 300 cedars. Fortunately, such accidents do not occur frequently. As a rule, the bird lets her eggs gently slide into her nest. This one mishap was due to the fact that the egg was rotten, and the bird cast it away carelessly. The Ziz has another name, Renanin. I think I said that right. Renanin, because he is the celestial singer. On the account of his relation to the heavenly regions, he is also called Seku, or Sekwi, 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 the seer, and besides, he is called son of the nest, because his fledgling birds break away from the shell without being hatched by the mother bird. They spring directly from the nest, as it were. Like Leviathan, so Ziz is a delicacy to be served to the pious at the end of time, to compensate them for the privations which abstaining from unclean fowls imposed on them. The sixth day. As the fish were formed out of the water, and the birds out of the boggy earth well mixed with water, so the mammals were formed out of solid earth. And as Leviathan is the most notable representative of the fish kind, and the Ziz, the bird kind, so Behemoth is the most notable representative of the mammal kind. Behemoth matches Leviathan in strength, and he had to be prevented, like Leviathan, from multiplying and increasing, else the world could not have continued to exist. After Yahuwah had created him, male and female, he at once deprived him of the desire to propagate his kind. He is so monstrous that he requires the produce of 9,000 mountains for his daily food. All the water that flows through the bed of the Jordan in a year suffices him exactly for one gulp. It therefore was necessary to give him one stream entirely for his own use, a stream flowing from paradise called Ubal. Behemoth too is destined to be served to the pious as an appetizing dainty, but before they enjoy his flesh, they will be permitted to view the mortal combat between Leviathan and Behemoth as a reward for having denied themselves the pleasures of the circus and the gladiator contest. Leviathan, Ziz, and Behemoth are not only monsters, there are many others, and marvelous ones, like the reem, a giant animal, of which only one couple, male and female, is in existence. Had there been more, the world could hardly have maintained itself against them. The act of copulation occurs but once in 70 years between them, for Yahuwah has so ordained that the male and female reem are at the opposite ends of the earth, the one in the east and the other in the west. The act of copulation results in the death of the male. He is bitten by the female and dies of the bite. The female becomes pregnant and remains in this state for no less than 12 years. At the end of this long period, she gives birth to twins, a male and a female. The year preceding her delivery, she is not able to move. She would die of hunger were it not that her own spittle, flowing copiously from her mouth, waters and fructifies the earth near her and causes it to bring forth enough for her maintenance. For a whole year, the animal can but roll from side to side until finally her belly bursts and the twins issue forth. Their appearance is thus the signal for the death of the mother reem. She makes room for the new generation, which in turn is destined to suffer the same fate as the generation that went before. Immediately after birth, the one goes eastward and the other goes westward, to meet only after a lapse of 70 years, propagate themselves, and perish. A traveler who once saw a reem 1 day old described its heights to be 4 parasangs and the length of its head 1 parasang and a half. I don't know what a parasang is. I meant to look it up, but I didn't. I forgot. A parasang. If anybody knows what a parasang is, please list it. Inquiring minds would like to know. And I'll probably remind myself when I go back and watch this video today. Oh, that's right. I got to look up what a parasang is. Parasang. Parasangs. Parasang. It's spelled just like it sounds. Parasang. Like that girl can sing. Parasang. Okay. A traveler who once saw a reem 1 day old described its height to be 4 parasangs and the length of its head 1 parasang and a half. Its horns measure 100 ells. I don't know what an L is either. ELLS. L. I need to look up both. Parasang and L. It's another word in here too that they use for, measuring people and things. Its horns measure 100 ells, and their height is a great deal more. One of the most remarkable creatures. Listen to this, y'all. And you know what? When I was reading this, him huge. Listen to this. I think what we're about to describe right here is Sasquatch or Bigfoot. Y'all know how, I know everybody that heard about Bigfoot sightings and stuff, right? Listen, I think what they about to describe right here, I think this is Bigfoot or Sasquatch. Listen, one of the most remarkable creatures is the man of the mountain, and it is called that in a parenthesis mark, man of the mountain, parenthesis mark. Listen, one of the most remarkable creatures is the man of the mountain, Adne Sade, or briefly, Adam. His form is exactly that of a human being, but he is fastened to the ground by means of a navel string upon which his life depends. The cord, once snapped, he dies. This animal keeps himself alive with what is produced by the soil around him for as far as his tether permits him to crawl. No creature may venture to approach him within the radius of his cord, for he seizes and demolishes whatever comes in his reach. To kill him, one may not go near him. The navel string must be severed from a distance by the means of a dart, and then he dies amid groans and moans. Once upon a time, a traveler happened in the region where this animal is found. He overheard his host consult his wife as to what to do to honor their guest and resolved to serve our man. In parentheses, our man. It was talking about the man of the mountain, right? And resolved to serve our man, as he said. Thinking he had fallen among cannibals, the stranger ran as fast as his feet could carry him from his entertainer, who sought vainly to restrain him. Afterward, he found out that there had been no intention of regaling him with human flesh, but only the flesh of the strange animal called man. As the man of the mountain is fixed to the ground by his navel string, so the barnacle goose is grown to a tree by its bill. It's hard to say whether it's an animal and must be slaughtered to be fit for food, or whether it is a plant or whether it is a plant and no ritual ceremony is necessary before eating it. Amongst the birds, the phoenix is the most wonderful. When Eve gave all the animals some of the fruit of the tree of knowledge, the phoenix was the only bird that refused to eat thereof, and he was rewarded with eternal life. When he has lived 1,000 years, his body shrinks and the feathers drop from it until he is as small as an egg. This is the nucleus of the new bird. The phoenix is also called the guardian of the terrestrial sphere. He runs with the sun on his circuit, and he spreads out his wings and catches up the fiery rays of the sun. If he were not there to intercept them, neither man nor any other animate being would keep alive. On his right wing, the following words are inscribed in huge letters, about 4,000 stadia high. Neither the earth produces me, nor the heavens, but only the wings of fire. His food consists of the manna of heaven and the dew of the earth. His excrement is a worm, whose excrement in turn is the cinnamon used by kings and princes. Enoch, who saw the phoenix birds when he was translated, describes them as flying creatures, wonderful and strange in appearance, with the feet and tails of lions and the heads of crocodiles. Their appearance is of a purple color like the rainbow, their size 900 measures. Their wings are like the wings of angels, each having 12, and they attend to the chariot of the sun and go with him, bringing heat and dew as they are ordered by Yahuwah. In the morning, when the sun starts on his daily course, the phoenixes and the chalcari sing, and every bird flaps its wings, rejoicing over the giver of light. And they sing a song at the command of Yahuwah. Remember, yesterday we read that it was talking about the phoenix, and it mentioned how when remember when they were going to battle, when Joshua, the sun stood still, it said that Joshua had to command the sun to stop singing because the sun moves by its song. It moves as long as it's singing. So Joshua knew that he had to command the sun to stop singing. When the sun stopped singing, the sun stood still. Okay. So it makes sense when it goes back. So I'm like, And I'm almost certain that we don't have the pure language of what they use. Neither do we truly know the ineffable name of Yahuwah, because this talks about in here how the angels, when they want to ascend back to heaven, they just say the ineffable name of Yahuwah, and they're there in His presence. I'm like, clearly, you have not revealed that to this generation. Don't none of us know. And if those who do, they ain't telling nobody, because that's not something that you just hand out willy nilly to people. All kinds of people probably be popping up in heaven and getting dead and falling right back down. And that was a little bit of exaggeration, but y'all get what I'm saying, right? Okay. Hold on, let me go back up here. Uh-oh, I almost closed y'all out, YouTube. Uh-oh, trying to move all these things. Okay. Oh, wait, thank you. Somebody, Mom, looked at a parasang, a historical Iranian unit of itinerant distance used throughout the Western Mediterranean and the Middle East in antiquity. Originally, the distance traveled in 1 hour. Okay. The distance traveled in 1 hour is a parasang. Distance traveled in 1 hour and generally assumed to be equivalent to about 6 kilometers. Okay. Thank you, Mom. I can't readily tell you what kilometers are. Y'all got to give me like miles and yards and stuff, okay, for me to understand it. Otherwise, I'm going to have to do the math when I get off of here. I'm just being honest with y'all. Thank you, Corey. He put it up here too. Oh, thank you. Parasang is ancient Iranian unit measurement about 4 miles. I get it now. Okay. Thank you, everybody. YouTube and Facebook for the input. Parasang. Sweet. It's about 4 miles. Okay. I got it. Okay. Okay, let's go back up here, y'all. Okay, I'll start back here again. In the morning, when the sun starts on his daily course, the phoenixes and the chowkeries sing, and every bird flaps its wings, rejoicing the giver of light, and they sing a song at the command of Yahuwah. Among reptiles, the salamander and the shamir are the most marvelous. The salamander originates from a fire of myrtle wood, which has been kept burning for 7 years steadily by means of magic arts. No bigger than a mouse, it is yet invested with peculiar properties. One who smears itself with its blood is vulnerable, and the web woven by its talisman, and the web woven by it is a talisman against fire. The people who lived at the deluge boasted that were a fire to come, they would protect themselves with the blood of a salamander. Okay, y'all may not have read this, but when you read some more of the details about some of the stuff that the people were saying to Noah, and it's in here, we haven't gotten to that part yet, but they're saying they talking slick to Noah while the ark is being built, and they're saying, oh, well, if rain comes, we can protect ourselves against it. Even if fire comes, we can protect ourselves against that. So this is what this is referring to. We haven't gotten there yet, but when we get to it, you know what I'm talking about. I just read the last sentence. I'll read it again. One who smears himself with its blood is invulnerable, and the web woven by it is a talisman against fire. The people who lived at the deluge boasted that were a fire flood to come, they would protect themselves with the blood of the salamander. King Hezekiah owes his life to the salamander. His wicked father, King Ahaz, had delivered him to the fires of Molech, and he would have been burnt had his mother not painted him with the blood of the salamander so that the fire could do him no harm. The shamir was made at twilight on the 6th day of creation together with other extraordinary things. It is about as large as a barley corn, and it possesses the remarkable property of cutting the hardest of diamonds. For this reason, it was used for the stones in the breastplate worn by the high priest. First, the names of the 12 tribes were traced with ink on the stones to be set into the breastplate. Then the shamir was passed over the lines, and thus they were graven. The wonderful circumstance was that the friction wore no particles from the stones. The shamir was also used for hewing into shape the stones from which the temple was built, because the law prohibited iron tools to be used in the work for the temple. The shamir may not be put in an iron vessel for safekeeping, nor in any metal vessel. It would burst such a receptacle asunder. It is kept wrapped up in a woolen cloth and this in turn is placed in a lead basket filled with barley bran. The shamir was guarded in paradise until Solomon needed it. He sent the eagle thither to fetch the worm. With the destruction of the temple, the shamir vanished. A similar fate overtook the Tahash, which has been created only that its skin might be used for the tabernacle. Once the tabernacle was completed, the Tahash disappeared. It had a horn on its forehead, was gaily covered like the turkey cock, and belonged to the class of clean animals. Among the fish, there were also wonderful creatures, the sea goats and the dolphins, not to mention Leviathan. A seafaring man once saw a sea goat on whose horns were inscribed, I am a little sea animal, yet I traverse 300 parasangs to offer myself for food to the Leviathan. Listen to this. I don't know about this. I ain't never really been in the presence of a dolphin to see if this is true or not. Maybe y'all have. Maybe y'all got some information that I don't. But if this is the case, clearly we missing some information and some people just aren't right forth with us. Listen to this. It feels weird just about to read this, right? Okay. The dolphins are half man and half fish. They even have sexual intercourse with human beings. Therefore, they are also called the sons of the sea. For in a sense, they represent the humankind in the waters. Yeah, now y'all know what I was talking about. Okay. Though every species in the animal world was created, I mean, I would not doubt, because there's some people doing some crazy stuff, which we call bestiality, which we know to be forbidden, like ill. You need to propagate with your own kind of people. Like, it's some crazy stories out there. Like, and I'm sure y'all heard them. Okay, but I'm just saying, I wouldn't doubt that one bit. People doing all kind of manner of craziness today. Though every species in the animal world was created during the last 2 days of the sixth of creation, yet many characteristics of certain animals appeared later. Cats and mice, foes now, were friends originally. Their later enmity had a distinct cause. On one occasion, the mouse appeared before Yahuwah and spoke, I and the cat are partners, but now we have nothing to eat. Yahuwah answered, Thou art intriguing against thy companion, only that thou mayest devour her. As a punishment, she shall devour thee. Thereupon the mouse, O Yahuwah, Lord of the world, wherein have I done wrong? Yahuwah replied, O thou unclean reptile, thou shouldest have been warned by the example of the moon, who lost a part of her light because she spake ill of the sun, and what she lost was given to her opponent. Y'all remember that? I'm like, boy, they don't never learn. They always, Y'all's creation is always doing something. Father, forgive me, because I know I done screwed up many times, and I thank you that I still have my life, but I'm just saying, I'm reading this, I'm like, man, you ain't learned? Okay. Yahuwah replied, O thou unclean reptile, thou shouldest have been warned by the example of the moon, who lost a part of her light because she spake ill of the sun, and what she lost was given to her opponent. Remember, we read about the moon yesterday. The evil intentions thou did harbor against thy companion shall be punished in the same way. Instead of thy devouring her, she shall devour thee. The mouse, O Lord of the world, shall my whole kind be destroyed? Yahuwah, I will take care that a remnant of thee is spared. In her rage, the mouse bit the cat. The cat, in turn, threw herself upon the mouse and hacked into her with her teeth until she lay dead. Since that moment, the mouse stands in such awe that the cat and she does not even attempt to defend herself against her enemy's attacks and always keeps herself in hiding. Similarly, y'all know what I'm saying. I'm getting tongue-tied. Dogs and cats maintained a friendly relation to the other and only later became enemies. The dog and the cat were partners, and they shared with each other whatever they had. It once happened that neither could find anything to eat for 3 days. Thereupon, the dog proposed that they dissolve their partnership. The cat should go to Adam, in whose house there would surely be enough for her to eat, while the dog should seek his fortune elsewhere. Before they separated, they took an oath never to go to the same master. The cat took up her abode with Adam, and she found sufficient mice in his house to satisfy her appetite. Seeing how useful she was in driving away and extirpating mice, Adam treated her most kindly. The dog, on the other hand, saw bad times. The first night after their separation, he spent the night in the cave of a wolf, who granted him a night's lodging. At night, the dog caught the sound of steps, and he reported it to his host, who bade him repulse the intruders. They were wild animals. Little lacked, and the dog would have lost his life. Dismayed, the dog fled from the house of the wolf and took refuge with the monkey. But he would not grant him even a single night's lodging, as the fugitive was forced to appeal to the hospitality of the sheep. Again, the dog heard steps in the middle of the night. Obeying the bidding of his host, he arose to chase away the marauders, who turned out to be wolves. The barking of the dog apprised the wolves in the presence of the sheep, so that the dog innocently caused the sheep's death. Now he had lost his last friend. Night after night, he begged for shelter without ever finding a home. Finally, he decided to repair to the house of Adam, who also granted him refuge for one night. When wild animals approached the house under the cover of darkness, the dog began to bark. Adam awoke, and with his bow and arrow, he drove them away. Recognizing the dog's usefulness, he bade him to remain with him always. But as soon as the cat espied the dog in Adam's house, she began to quarrel with him and reproach with him having broken with having broken his oath to her. Adam did his best to pacify the cat. He told her he himself had invited the dog to make his home there, and he assured her that she would in no wise be the loser to the dog's presence. He wanted both to stay with him, but it was impossible to appease the cat. The dog promised her not to touch anything intended for her. She insisted that she could not live in one and the same house with a thief like the dog. Bickerings between the dog and the cat became the order of the day. Finally, the dog could stand it no longer, and he left Adam's house and betook himself to Seth. By Seth, he was welcomed kindly, and from Seth's house, he continued to make efforts at reconciliation with the cat. In vain, yes, the enmity between the first dog and the first cat was transmitted to all their descendants. Even the physical peculiarities of certain animals were not original features with them, but owed their existence to something that occurred subsequent to the days of creation. The mouse at first had quite a different mouth from its present mouth. In Noah's Ark, in which all animals, to ensure the preservation of every kind, lived together peacefully, the pair of mice were once sitting next to the cat. Suddenly, the latter remembered that her father was in the habit of devouring mice, and thinking there was no harm in following his example, she jumped at the mouse, who vainly looked for a hole in which to slip out of sight. Then a miracle happened. A hole appeared where there had been none before, and the mouse sought refuge in it. The cat pursued the mouse. Though she could not follow her into the hole, she could insert her paw and try to pull the mouse out of her covert. Quickly, the mouse opened her mouth in hope that the paw would go into it and that the cat would be prevented from fastening her claws into her flesh. But as soon as the cavity of the mouth was not big enough, the cat succeeded in clawing the cheeks of the mouth. Not that this helped her much. It merely widened the mouth of the mouse, and her prey, after all, escaped the cat. After her happy escape, the mouse betook herself to Noah and said to him, "O pious man, be good enough to sew up my cheek where my enemy the cat has torn a rent into it." And Noah bade her fetch a hair out of the tail of the swine, and with this he repaired the damage. Thence the little seam-like line next to the mouth of every mouse to this very day. The raven is another animal that changed its appearance during its sojourn in the ark. Noah desired to send him forth to find out the state of the waters. He hid under the wings of the eagle. Noah found him, however, and said to him, Go and see whether the waters have diminished. The raven pleaded, Hast thou none other among all the birds to send on this errand? Noah, my power extends no further than over thee and the dove. But the raven was not satisfied. He said to Noah with great insolence, Thou sendest me forth only that I may meet my death, and thou wishest my death that my wife may be at thy service. Thereupon Noah cursed the raven, May thy mouth, which thou hast spoken evil against me, be accursed, and thy intercourse with thy wife only be through it. All the animals in the ark said, Amen. And this is the reason why a mass of spittle runs from the mouth of the male raven into the mouth of the female during the act of copulation, and thus the female is impregnated. How many of y'all know that? Did y'all know that? Somebody go look that up. How ravens have sex and how she's impregnated. Like they literally get pregnant by the mouth? Okay. Altogether, the raven is an unattractive animal. He is unkind toward his own young, so long as their bodies are not covered with black feathers, though as a rule, ravens love one another. Yahuwah therefore takes the young ravens under his special protection. From their own excrement, maggots come forth, which serve as their food during the 3 days that elapse after their birth until their white feathers turn black and their parents recognize them as their offspring and care for them. Oh. The raven has himself to blame also for the awkward hop in his gait. He observed the graceful step of the dove and envious of her tried to emulate it. The outcome was that he almost broke his bones without in the least succeeding in making himself resemble the dove, not to mention that he brought the scorn of the other animals down upon himself. His failure excited their ridicule. Then he decided to return to his own original gait, but in the interval, he had unlearned it, and he could walk neither the one way nor the other properly. His step had become a hop betwixt and between. Thus, we see how true it is that he who is dissatisfied with his small portion loses what he has in striving for more and better things. The steer is also one of the animals that have suffered a change in the course of time. Originally, his face was entirely overgrown with hair, but now there is none on his nose, and that is because Joshua kissed him on the nose during the siege of Jericho. Joshua was an exceedingly heavy man. Horses, donkeys, mules, none could bear him. They all broke down under his weight. I'm like, darn, Joshua. Okay. To keep reading. What they could not do, the steer kissed upon his nose. The serpent too is other than it was at first. Before the fall of man, remember we read about the serpent and it described him a little bit. Yeah, never knew that, Trina, right? Hey, Silky. Okay. The serpent too is other than it was at first. Before the fall of man, it was the cleverest of all animals created, and in form it resembled man closely. It stood upright and was of extraordinary size. Afterward, it lost the mental advantages it possessed as compared with the other animals, and it degenerated physically too. It was deprived of its feet so that it could not pursue other animals and kill them. The mole and the frog had to be made harmless in similar ways. The former has no eyes, else it were irresistible, and the frog has no teeth, else no animal in the water were sure of its life. While the cunning of the serpent wrought its own undoing, the cunning of the fox stood him in good stead in many an embarrassing situation. After Adam had committed the sin of disobedience, Yahuwah delivered the whole of the animal kingdom world into the power of the angel of death, and he ordered him to cast one pair of each kind into the water. He and Leviathan together thus have dominion over all that has life. When the angel of death was in the act of executing divine command upon the fox, he began to weep bitterly. The angel of death asked him the reason for his tears, and the fox replied that he was mourning the sad fate of his friend. At the same time, he pointed to the figure of a fox in the sea, which was nothing but his own reflection. The angel of death, persuaded that the representative of the fox family had been cast into the water, and let him go free. The fox told his trick to the cat, and she in turn played it on the angel of death. So it happened that neither cats nor foxes are represented in the water, while all other animals are. When Leviathan passed the animals in review, and missing the fox, was informed of the sly way which he had eluded his authority, he dispatched great and powerful fish on the errand of enticing the truant into the water. The fox, walking along the shore, espied the large number of fish, and he exclaimed, "How happy he who may always satisfy his hunger with the flesh of such as these." The fish told him if he would but follow them, his appetite could be easily appeased. At the same time, they informed him that a great honor awaited him. Leviathan, they said, was at death's doors, and he had commissioned them to install the fox as his successor. They were ready to carry him on their backs so that he had no need to fear the water, and thus they would convey him to the throne which stood upon a huge rock. The fox yielded to these persuasions and descended into the water. Presently, an uncomfortable feeling took possession of him. He began to suspect that the tables were turned. He was being made game of instead of making game of others as usual. He urged the fish to tell the truth, and they admitted that they had been sent out to secure his person for Leviathan, who wanted his heart, that he might become as knowing as the fox, whose wisdom he had heard many extol. The fox said reproachfully, "Why didn't you tell me the truth at once? Then I could have brought my heart along with me for the king Leviathan, who would have showered honors upon me. As it is, you will surely suffer punishment for bringing me without my heart." The foxes, you see, he continued, do not carry their hearts around with them. They keep them in a safe place, and when they have need of them, they fetch them thence. The fish quickly swam to shore and landed the fox so that he might go get his heart. No sooner did he feel the dry land under his feet again, he began to jump and shout, and when they urged him to go in search of his heart and follow them, he said, "O ye fools, could I have followed you into the water if I had not had my heart with me? Or exists there a creature able to go abroad without his heart?" The fish replied, "Come, come, thou art fooling us." Whereupon the fox, "O ye fools, if I could play a trick on the angel of death, how much easier it was to make a game of you." So they had to return, their errand undone, and Leviathan could not but confirm the taunting judgment of the fox. In very truth, the fox is wise of heart, and ye are fools. Okay, y'all. Interesting, right? Okay, this last little portion right here then will be done. It says, "All things praise Yahuwah." Whatever Yahuwah created has value. Even the animals and the insects that seem useless and noxious at first sight have a vocation to fulfill. The snail trailing a moist streak after it has, the snail trailing a moist streak after it as it crawls, and so using up its vitality, serves as a remedy for boils. Who knew that? The sting of a hornet is healed by the housefly, crushed and applied to the wound. The gnat, feeble creature, taking in food but never secreting it, is a specific against the poison of a viper, and this venomous reptile itself cures eruptions, while the lizard is the antidote for the scorpion. I'm gonna have to look up some of this stuff, y'all. Not only do all creatures serve man and contribute to his comfort, but also Yahuwah teaches us through the beasts of the earth and makes us wise through the fowls of heaven. He endowed many animals with admirable moral qualities as a pattern for man. If the Torah had not been revealed to us, we might have learnt regard for the decencies of life from the cat, who covers her excrement with earth, regard for the property of others from the ants, who never encroach upon another's stores, and regard for decorous conduct from the cock, who, when he desires to unite with the hen, promises to buy her a cloak long enough to reach the ground, and when the hen reminds him of his promise, he shakes his comb and says, "May I be deprived of my comb if I do not buy it when I have the means." The grasshopper also has a lesson to teach to man. All the summer throughout it sings until its belly bursts and then death claims it. Though it knows the fate that awaits it, yet it sings on. So man should do his duty toward Yahuwah, no matter what the consequence. The stork should be taken as a model in two respects. He guards the purity of his family life zealously, and toward his fellows he is compassionate and merciful. Even the frog can be a teacher of man. By the side of the water there lives a species of animals which subsist off aquatic creatures alone. When the frog notices that one of them is hungry, he goes to it of his own accord and offers himself as food, thus fulfilling the injunction. If thine enemy be hungry, give him bread to eat, and if he be thirsty, give him water to drink.
Bread to eat.
Good morning, Mr. Murphy. The whole of creation was called into existence by Yahuwah unto his glory, and each creature has its own hymn of praise wherewith to extol the Creator. Heaven and earth, paradise and hell, desert and field, rivers and seas, all have their own way of paying homage to Yahuwah. The hymn of the earth is, from the uttermost parts of the earth we have heard songs, glory to the righteous. The sea exclaims, above the voices of many waters, the mighty breakers of the sea, Yahuwah is Lord on high. Yahuwah, the Lord on high, is mighty. Also, the celestial bodies and the elements proclaim the praise of their Creator. The sun, the moon, and the stars, and the clouds and the winds, the lightning and the dew. The sun says, the sun and moon stood still in their habitation at the light of thy arrows as they went, at the shining of thy glittering spear. And the stars saying, Thou art Lord, even thou alone. Thou hast made heaven, the heaven of heavens, with all their hosts, the earth and all things that are thereon, the seas and all that is in them, and thou preservest them all, and the hosts of heaven worship thee. Every plant, furthermore, has a song of praise. The fruit tree sings, then shall all the trees of the wood sing for joy before Yahuwah, for he cometh to judge the earth. And the ears of grain on the field sing, the pastures are covered with flocks, the valleys are also covered over with corn. They shout for joy, they also sing. Great among singers of praise are the birds. The greatest among them is the cock. Listen to this, y'all. It made me think about people who live on farms and stuff, and when the cock crows, right? Listen to this. Great among singers of praise are the birds, and the greatest among them is the cock. When Yahuwah at midnight goes to the pious in paradise, all the trees therein break out into adoration, and their song awakens the cock, who begins in turn to praise Yahuwah. So when we hear the cock begin to crow, the cock-a-doodle-doo, all that, just realize it began to sing its song as it heard the trees sing their song, So in succession, creation begins to praise Yahuwah, and it's like a domino effect. So if y'all hear the cock crow, that should be your trigger to get up and praise y'all too. When you hear them birds singing, they're singing a song to their Creator. When we hear them sing, we should get up and sing. They shouldn't be your alarm. I mean, y'all get what I'm saying, right? You should praise him because he created you wonderfully and beautifully, but if you sleep, and a lot of times in the summer, like I don't even need an alarm clock, because the sounds of the birds singing will actually wake me up, So, but I thought that was cool. I'll read that again. Great among singers of praise are the birds, and the greatest among them is the cock. When Yahuwah at midnight goes to the pious in paradise, all the trees therein break out into adoration, and and their song awakens the cock, who begins in turn to praise Yahuwah. 7 times he crows, each time reciting a verse. The first verse is, Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be ye lift up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Who is the King of glory? The Lord, strong and mighty. The Lord be mighty in battle. The second verse, Lift up your heads, O ye gates, yea, lift them up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord of hosts. He is the King of glory. The third, Arise, ye righteous, and occupy yourselves. Oh, what I was just saying. Apparently, it is the key for humans to begin to rise up. Listen, hold on. Let's go back. Okay, the third verse. Arise, ye righteous, and occupy yourselves with the Torah, that your reward may be abundant in the world hereafter. The fourth verse. I have waited for thy salvation, O Yah. The fifth. How long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep? Oh my gosh. Okay. The sixth, love not sleep, lest thou come to poverty. Open thine eyes, and thou shalt be satisfied with bread. And the seventh verse, sung by the cock, runs, It is time to work for Yahuwah, It is time to work for Yahuwah, for they have made void thy law. The song of the vulture is, I will hiss for them and gather them, for I have redeemed them, and they shall increase as they have increased. The same verse with the bird will come in time. The same verse with which the bird will in time to come announce the event of the Messiah. The only difference being that when he heralds the Messiah, he will sit upon the ground and sing his verse, while at all other times he is seated elsewhere when he sings it. Nor do the other animals praise Yahuwah less than the birds. Even the beasts of prey give forth adoration. The lion says, Yahuwah shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like men of war. He shall cry, yea, he shall shout aloud. He shall do mightily against his enemies. And the fox exhorts unto justice with the words, Woe unto him that buildeth his house by unrighteousness, and his chambers by injustice. He that useth his neighbor's service without wages, and give him not his hire. Yea, the dumb fish know how to proclaim praise to their Lord. The voice of Yahuwah is upon the waters. They say, The God of glory thundereth, even the Lord upon many waters. While the frog exclaims, Blessed be the name of the glory of his kingdom forever and ever. Contemptible though they are, even the reptiles give praise unto their creator. The mouse extols Yahuwah with the words, Howbeit thou art just in all that is come upon me, for thou hast dealt truly, but I have done wickedly. And the cat sings, Let everything that hath breath praise the Lord. Praise ye the Lord. And that, my beautiful people, yes, it's a lot of different verses from Psalms in there, right? But that is our reading for today, people. That was a very good lesson, teaching us how even all of nature, everything that Yahuwah has created, praises him on a daily basis. But not so some of us humans walking around here with the intellect that he has given us. Some of us forget who truly created us and forget to give praise to the master, to the creator, the giver of heaven and earth, the creator of life, of us itself. All right, y'all. So that was everything for today. Quick recap. It is Saturday, December the 12th, 2020, day 22 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And of the 3-year consecutive day count, it is day 691. We read the book of Enoch, chapter 22, 23, 24, and 25. And we just read this section in here out of the Legends of the Jews. So let's go ahead and do the blessing so we can roll out today and y'all can enjoy your Saturday. Uh-oh, I did knock some over, I think. Okay. So remember, the blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6. verses 22 through 27. Remember, the first 21 verses is the Nazirite vow. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay. Okay. The blessing, y'all. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people. Love you. Thanks for joining today. Enjoy the Sabbath rest. Spend time with your family. Spend time praising the creator of heaven and earth. Don't let nature outdo you in the praise of your creator, y'all. I love y'all, and I will see y'all bright and early, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday morning. Peace.